Welcome to The Soul Space, the podcast that inspires you to discover your truth, ignite your passion, and align your life with the power of who you really are. I'm Georgia Rose, psychic astrologer. I share the cosmic roadmap that guided me through astrology, tarot, and inner knowing into authentic living. I'm here to help you decode your soul's cosmic story, reconnect with your passion, and create the life you are meant to live. It all starts within, and it all starts now in the soul space. Hey everybody, it's 7 o'clock on Monday, so I'm in the soul space again. I'm getting used to this gig, I'll tell you. It's only been a few years, but I'm getting used to it now. So tonight, we are going to talk about Venus in Pisces because, you know, something big is happening on Saturday. It's called Valentine's Day, and I did come prepared with my heart. I brought my heart. Here it is. It's on fire. Look, isn't that pretty? So I thought that would be a little festive for tonight. I hope you can see that on screen really well. So tonight we're going to talk about Venus in Pisces. It's Valentine's Day. We're also going to talk after that a little bit about the eclipse new moon in Aquarius, which is coming in on the 17th, just 3 days after Valentine's Day. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me. If you are watching and something that I say resonates with you, you think someone else in your life or in your sphere should hear it, please share the show. So Valentine's Day, it's that dreamy time when, you know, even those of us who might be single or those of us who might be in a relationship, we want to have a day special, right? We want to have some attention and some romance. And with Pisces coming in, with Venus in Pisces this year, it can really be a time when our heart opens, the veil thins, and we feel everything more deeply. We have a case of the feels, and everything feels watery and passionate, but also on a deeply spiritual level. But it becomes so deep and so watery and so dreamy that we have to ask the question that oftentimes in Pisces we ask, is it real love or is it a dream we want to believe in? So we're going to talk about that on the show tonight, along with the Aquarian new moon eclipse coming in. But before we do that, those of you who are my faithful listeners and watchers know I start every show with a cosmic comedy because, you know, we take ourselves way too seriously in the astrology world. So here we go with tonight's cosmic comedy. It's time for Cosmic Comedy, where Mercury retrograde is the main character, the lunations are loony, and the stars are a punchline.
1,000 times I've got no roots, but my home was never on the ground. I've got no roots, but my home was never on the ground. I've got no roots. I've got no roots. I've got no roots, but my home was never on the ground. I've got no roots, but my home was never on the ground. I've got no roots. I've got no roots. I've got no roots, but my home was never on the ground. I've got no roots, but my home was never on the ground. I've got no roots. I've got no roots.
I just think that's so funny. I'm not a cat person at all. I'll have to do dogs next week. But I just think some of them are so funny, especially the Aries one where like you just poke the kitty and they attack you. And I can really relate to that because my partner is an Aries rising. And whenever we're, you know, doing a little horseplay or joking around, he always goes too far and I get hurt. So it's just so true to life. And especially the Capricorn one where they're like kind of in prison. They're like so bound by their conditioning, right? Just really funny stuff. So I hope you enjoyed that. For those of you who are really cat people out there, and for me, I'm more a dog person, but that's just my preference. So is it real love or is it a dream? So this Valentine's Day, and I'm not just talking about romantic love. It's about, you know, our families, our spouses, our, you know, relationships at work. It could be anything because it's all about what's real and what's not real. And gosh, we know there's enough of that going out in the real world right now, right? But what's real and what isn't? And when Venus is in Pisces, we can get very caught up in the dream. We can get very caught up in the rose-colored glasses, so to speak, because there's going to be a lot of people falling in love this week or this month. And I'm going to say by probably the end of March, early April, they're not going to be in love anymore. It's going to be like, wow, what was I thinking? Because that's the way Venus in Pisces works. But it also has a higher octave where it really brings in a lot of spirituality, and it brings in that returning to source energy. This is an energy where we're in illusion, but it also can bring us in that deep astro travel where we're really deep in a meditation. We're really deep in our belief systems. It's really about diving deep into the water of what matters to us and what's really important to us right now. Where do we want our focus to be? And that's really the lesson of Pisces, because a lot of times in Pisces, what happens is we have no boundaries. Pisces is an energy that can be really indulgent. Oftentimes it's known as the addictive type of energy. When I see a very heavy Pisces chart, it can show me, is this person in the higher octave where they're very spiritual and they're connecting to other realms, or they're really diving deep into meditation and maybe yoga or shamanic journeying or something really deep that has no bounds and makes us feel boundless? Or are they someone with no boundaries who's in addiction? Because Pisces can really be that lower level, the addiction of like, I have no boundaries, I'm just free floating. I want to be in a place where there's no restriction and I'm really indulgent. So Pisces is an energy that shows us through illusion what is real by returning to source, meaning creator or our spirituality, so that we anchor into our very own intuition. And that's why when Venus is in Pisces, we also are much more susceptible, or psychic energy can be really amplified. And there's a couple of other reasons why that's going to happen in the chart. We'll get to talk about that in the next segment. But psychic ability, psychic energy, our ability to really know truth right now is very, very amplified if we return to the source, meaning ourselves and our own intuition, our own heart and soul. If we allow ourselves to be gaining suggestions or influenced by externals, then that Pisces energy becomes one of no boundaries into addiction. And it can be something as simple as, I'll give you an example, and I'm not being political in any way, shape, or form, but I'll give you an example. The terrible tragedy right now that's going on with Savannah Guthrie's mother, right? The media is all over this to the extreme, and rightly so. She's a missing person. They should find her. There's a lot of missing people in the world, though. But for whatever reason, the media has really zeroed in on this particular story. And being Venus and Pisces energy right now, we have other planets in Pisces as well. What'll happen is we keep scrolling for more. It's like there's no boundary. We just want to keep looking at it. We want to keep seeing it. We want to keep understanding it because we don't have a boundary with it. It's not like, oh, let me check the headline and there's a boundary there. No, it becomes like obsessive. And I see a lot of people obsessing. That's the lower energy of Venus in Pisces. It becomes boundless. It becomes out of bounds. We could do it with anything. It could be chewing gum. It could be alcohol. It could be sex. It could be drugs. It could be, scrolling endlessly. But in an energy like this, we have a tendency, because we are out of bounds and have no boundaries, we have a tendency to really go like 10,000% into something. And that's why in relation to Valentine's Day and love, we have this really ethereal, floaty, kind of dreamy space that can be an illusion. And when we come out of that energy, we now have the rose-colored glasses off and see it for what it really is. Right now, we don't only have Venus in Pisces. We also have Saturn in the last degrees of Pisces, closing up that particular chapter of our lives, right? Last 3 years. We had Neptune just go into Aries from Pisces after 12 years. We've got the true node of the moon, North Node in Pisces right now, which is the collective path of growth. And we've also got Mercury in Pisces, which is going to go retrograde later in the month. So with all that Pisces energy, we can be boundless and we can be out of bounds. We can be boundless to go into a spiritual realm of belief and discovery and curiosity and just, float with the angels, right? When I meditate on angels' wings. It can be like that, or when we can just float in that boundless beauty and that inspiration. Or we can be out of bounds and go too far, be indulgent, think there's no harm in going too far because of the illusion. So that's really the description of Pisces energy. And again, it'll be like, well, is it real love, or am I in this Piscean floating in the clouds kind of a thing? very interesting time to have Venus in Pisces, right? So this is the kind of energy where we will be with another or we'll be with something and it'll feel very soulful. I feel you without words. I know what you're thinking. I love you beyond logic. I know you're bad for me, but I just can't stay away. I see your soul, right? And these will be the kinds of energy that make us believe in things like destiny and soulmate relationships and divine timing and all those things. But honestly, the truth in that is that while Venus in Pisces opens us to these connections, what we really should be thinking and seeing and doing is looking at our own soul, looking at our own sense of logic, not going beyond logic and boundless. And so this transit asks us really to stay awake while we dream. And in doing that, in staying awake while we dream, now we can bring vision to our dream. We can bring the dream into the future in a very stable and strategic way. And that's the best use of the energy. And the energy is paired with the upcoming eclipse, which is also going to amplify everything I'm saying here, but with a little bit of a different nuance. But for now, let's just stay on this transit of, the Valentine's Day, Venus in Pisces, and why this transit is going to hit so hard on Valentine's Day. And that's because, like everything I've just discussed, we kind of, as humans, long for the connection. We want our desire to be something that where we're chosen, right? We desire to be chosen. We fantasize about the perfect partner. Even when we're with someone who's really great, we fantasize about something better. There's a time when the energy is going to make us nostalgic for past loves. And we all hope for something magical, right? I spend a lot of my time late at night watching rom-coms. And I just recently watched a movie. It's on Prime now. It's called The People You Meet on Vacation. My friend Dee had recommended it a long time ago, and I just got around to watching it. It was so cute, and it was just such a happy ending. And so we love that, right? Everyone just loves that. So sometimes that can be real, and sometimes it's just Venus and Pisces talking. It's just the transit. So think about taking the rose-colored glasses off, not so that you're critical or negative about what's going on, but just so that you can see a little bit of logic and you can breathe fire and life into a dream by aligning it with your true vision of what's real, not what the fantasy says. And of course, we all know fantasy can be beautiful when we visit, not so much when we live there. So love is a spiritual experience. There is absolutely no doubt about that. And this transit reminds us that love isn't just spiritual. It's also at times energetic, intuitive. On a soul level, it can be extremely healing. Compassion is a superpower. When we can go into the compassion of Pisces, when we love, what happens is we find ourselves loving people that maybe are a little bit unlovable. Having compassion for the compassionless is one of the greatest lessons that Pisces teaches us because it returns us to source. The other thing Pisces teaches us in its unbound boundlessness is that boundaries matter. And that although it's nice to play in those realms and it's nice to feel completely liberated and free and, do the skinny dipping at 2:00 in the morning, at the end of the day, we've got to come out of the pool. So we need to find that balance. And while fantasy can be very healing and beautiful to play with, it can't be that way if it's replacing your reality, because we're here to live in reality, to be productive and do what our soul came here to do. And that's really what Pisces teaches us by our return to source. We can sync up in this energy of heightened psychic ability and heightened intuition and the feels. And we can sync up with the energy that created us and really feel that and be like, wow, there's something much more powerful than me. But if I link up with source, nothing is impossible. And I can really make my reality align with my vision and my dream and create the life that I love, spiritually, intuitively, and with some boundaries in place. But I also know what it's like to sometimes be out of bounds and boundless. And isn't that a beautiful thing? Because I know I always have Creator protecting me and giving me the boundaries that I need. So attract things energetically that you align with in reality. And this is going to be really important in my next segment, which I'm going to go to now. If anybody has any questions about Venus and Pisces, put them in the chat and I will absolutely answer them during the show live today. I'm not seeing my chat on the screen, so I don't know. Hey, I'm Nancy. I see Nancy. Okay. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about, well, first of all, I just want to end with the Pisces illusion. Is it love or is it illusion? So signs it might be real love. And I'm using might because I'm not there. I can't tell, right? I know that we oftentimes be like, oh my God, my heart races whenever they're around. And I just have this energy and I can't live without them. And when it's real love, the type of love that is complete connection, unconditional and redeemed, you'll feel calm, you'll feel grounded, and you'll feel safe. The connection will grow consistently over time, not just intensely in short periods, not just physically, but it will grow consistently over time where you know this person is reliable for you. Their actions match their words. You'll feel seen, not idealized, right? I know that was something when I was younger that I oftentimes find, and this is, I think, especially true for women. I hate to generalize like that, but it just is a thing because we're always looked upon for our looks. And it's very common sometimes when we're attractive or we're in a really good energetic place in our life, men will idolize us. They will think that, oh my God, you're so beautiful. And they'll keep saying that to us. Oh, you're a beautiful woman. And that's great. But where's the consistency and substance? Are they just saying that? Or is there consistency and substance to that? Oh, you're such a beautiful woman. And I love the way you, not walk across the room. I love the way you respond to something or the way you care so much about something or that your values are this way. It can't just be this idol, this ideal of you that they're in love with. And which leads me to the next one. You can be yourself without fear. I have a partner. I can answer the door in curlers and no makeup and, my old ratty robe. And I know he still loves me. He still thinks I'm pretty, There's mutual effort and reciprocity. You both want to be better people for each other and for yourselves. You feel spiritually aligned. And this is a big one because it doesn't mean you have to believe in the same belief systems. It doesn't really mean you have to have the same rituals. It means you have to believe in each other. And that's one thing that when I was in the dating pool, I would say to someone after I got to know them a little bit and they finally knew my belief system and that I was very into, the astrology and tarot and energetic healing. And, I talked to people who are on the other side and things like that. And a lot of times they wouldn't believe in that. But I would always say, you don't need to believe the same things I believe, but you do need to believe in me and that I really believe these things and they're true to me and have respect for that. And that's love. Not everyone could do that. And then I knew they weren't the right partner for me. I have a partner now that while he will meditate with me and he'll do certain things with me, he's not someone who understands astrology. And certainly he'll say to me, well, I know what you're saying, but I don't really understand it. And that's okay because he still believes in me. He still believes that I get up and I do this show and I do certain things and it's important. That's love redeemed. And it's clarity. Real love feels like clarity. It feels like I have been seen. This person knows who I am. So signs it might be a Venus and Pisces thing. You're in love with their potential, not their reality. Boy, do we do that. I mean, I had a lot of relationships like that. I think I had a 20-year marriage that was like that. If I can be honest with myself now. You're ignoring red flags because the connection feels faded. All right, this is my soulmate. This is my soulmate. I know that he's running away. I know that he's this, but we're soulmates. Not true. If you were soulmates, you would know it because he would be by your side saying, oh, you're my soulmate. You're projecting qualities onto them that they haven't shown. That's that potential thing again. I talked about that a few shows ago where we assign qualities to people before they actually show them to us. Like, oh, this person has so much integrity, but they're like lying to their mother or they're like lying to their kids or whatever. Like, it's like, oh, this person's really good at relationships and they haven't talked to their sister in 20 years. We assign things to people that really are not demonstrating them. I do it too. You're confusing intensity with intimacy. Listen, the best sex you ever had doesn't mean it's the most intimate sex you ever had. The best intense conversation you ever had doesn't mean it's intimate. So don't confuse the intensity with intimacy. You're hoping they'll change. You know, you really like this guy. You're at dinner with him, but he has terrible table manners. And you're like, oh, I could teach him how to have better manners. No, wrong. Those are his manners. It's the way he is. He's good. He likes it. Fine, leave him alone. You're filling in the blanks with imagination. I did this a lot too when I was younger. You know, like I would be like, no, they're not really doing that. They're really, he must think this. That's why he's doing that. You know, I like had a whole story in my head that was never really the story. And then I would wonder why I was disappointed when my story wasn't the true story because it was all my imagination. You're more attached to the idea of them than the actual relationship. That's a big one. And I think, believe it or not, we do this when we get older because a lot of times when you're older, it becomes like the dating pool is smaller and it becomes that, you know, like, you know, your girlfriends and stuff or your guy friends will say to you, what are you crazy? She's good looking. Or the girlfriends will say, well, do you know what's out there? Right. So we just like the idea of having someone in our life. They may not be the perfect person for us. They may not be someone that we would choose if we had to be able to choose out of 1,000 people, but they're there and they're nice. And so we're just used to having them around. They're just, you know, my boyfriend, you know, or my girlfriend. And so we're more attached to the idea of having a relationship than we are to the actual relationship. So fantasy feels like fog, beautiful, intoxicating, but unclear. Reality feels really good. It feels like clarity. It feels like, wow, this feels different to me. This feels really substantial and real. So the key question to ask yourself is very simple. Do I love who they are or who I imagine they could be? That's the biggie. All right. So now, before I go to the next section, last part of this, I'm just going to say, what does real love feel like in my body? If you're nervous around someone or someone gives you anxiety, that's probably that's more than likely not the right person for you. You should feel calm around someone and grounded around them. So what I'm going to say and leave you all with to know whether it's real love or not is, how does your body feel? And I don't mean sexually. I mean, how does your body feel around them? Are you nervous? Are you high strung? Are you anxious? Are you walking on eggshells? Are you expecting something to come? Do you censor that's not good? Do you censor your words? Do you have to plan the way you're going to speak to someone because you know that they're not going to understand you or you're afraid you're going to be attacked or any of those things? If you feel that in your body, not real love. So here's a couple of affirmations. I'm worthy of a love that feels safe, deep, and true. I see love clearly without illusion, projection, or fear. And if you have a really great Valentine's date, that's a really great one to enjoy the night, enjoy yourself, have a beautiful time. But just, before you leave the house, just say, I release fantasy. I want to see love clearly wherever I may find that without illusion, projection, or fear. Spirit, let me see what I need to see, hear what I need to hear, and know what I need to know. Because love is meant to be felt deeply. And, also release the past hurts. And that's a great segue for my next section of tonight, which is all about the new moon in Aquarius and the eclipse that's coming in. So you all know eclipses are choice points. They're turning points. This particular eclipse, guys, is a big, huge choice point. I can't even tell you guys how important this next week leading up to the 17th of February is for us to get our stuff in place and really think about, focus on what it is that is truly your value and what matters to you and what you really, really value. What do you see moving forward as what you want to do in your life that is so important that you want to bring it into the future? Because that's the choice point. Aquarius energy, where we have a lot of planets. I'm just going to look at the chart for 1 minute right now and see. Aquarius energy right now, because planets are moving into Pisces. Right now in Aquarius, we've got the sun. We've got Venus is actually Venus, and it's in Pisces now. Mars. Pluto. Yeah. Okay. Because Venus today on the 9th is in Aquarius, headed to Pisces for the 14th. It'll be in Pisces, I think, the 11th or 12th. So we've still got a lot of Aquarian energy around, and Pluto's going to be in Aquarius for the next 20 some odd years. So the reason why this is such an important choice point is because there's other things happening right after this eclipse, which happens on the 17th. Aquarius new moon eclipse on the 17th. And then on the 20th, Neptune and Saturn come to the first degree of Aries, which is a whole new start, whole new cycle, like thousands of years of stuff ending, all new stuff beginning. So this Aquarian new moon is an acceleration point. Everything's going to feel speeded up. Now, it feels like February 1st was yesterday. Today is the 9th. Tomorrow's the 10th already. This Saturday is the 14th. Time is so sped up. You're going to find that acceleration even faster because this isn't just a new moon. It's an eclipse. It's in Aquarius. It's all happening in a sign where Uranus, the planet of sudden, shocking acceleration, electricity, things happening very quickly, energy, is the ruler of this sign. And now we've got Pluto there. We've got the moon there. This is all about speeding things up, showing us where the awakening has to happen, and collapsing all the old stuff that can't come into the future with us. So this is about liberation. It's about innovation, authenticity. When you focus on what you value most and what really matters to you, make sure it's aligned with the authenticity, because this is fast, speedy, and not just because of this, but we've got the year of the fire horse, which is really a speedy energy. And it's a number 1 year, which is all new energy. So this is really about a total cosmic reset like we've never seen before in our lives. And that's why you see all this turbulence all over the globe, because things that are not of the higher alignment of future are just collapsing. And we're seeing that all around us. So this is about liberation, innovation, authenticity, future timelines. That's why get rid of anything that is old and no longer works. I don't care if it's like a blender or your partner, get rid of it, because this universe will do it for you in this energy. It's extremely heightened acceleration for our souls. This is collective evolution. That's why you're seeing this all in the streets. The rebellion against outdated systems. This energy is passionate. It's dynamic. Things are going to speed up and come out of the blue. What do you want to focus on? You want to focus on being the architect of the things you want to bring into your future life. This is a time of choice point. Which are you going to choose? Dark or light? Good or bad? What am I going to focus my energy on? And to make this even more heightened, Uranus, the ruler of this eclipse and new moon of Aquarius, ruling Pluto for the next 20 years, that sudden, fast, changing energy, awakening, the lightning in the room, the quick, what did I just see? Oh, wait, now I know where everything is. I have clarity. Uranus. All of this energy that's happening on the new moon and the eclipse is squaring where Uranus is natally. So the ruler of all of this Aquarian energy is being squared by the Aquarian energy. What does that mean? It means it's heightened, it's amplifies. The acceleration is just going to be like warp speed. You're going to see a lot of things happen in this next few weeks. This is also about Uranus as the accelerator and squaring this eclipse. It's sudden change, it's awakening. Anything that's on a shaky foundation, out. Done. Deception. This is why you're seeing all this stuff come out about the Epstein files, even though the suicide or the death of Epstein was how many years ago? 7 years ago? 6 years ago? And now all of a sudden you're seeing all this stuff come out. You're seeing stuff come out in the press about so many things politically in all countries. It's because now that this energy is accelerating the higher vibration of humanity, it's asking us to align with our vision of the future so we can create it. Now we are in a heightened acceleration of deception collapsing. Anything that's not of that higher octave will collapse, but it's an equal part of dark and light, because as people, the foundations under us collapse, we want to grab onto something. Think of the Titanic when it was collapsing and everybody grabbed onto anything, a deck chair, a piece of wood, whatever, right? Because we need grounding. We have to cling to something that's going to make us feel stable and like we have hope. And that's exactly what's happening now in the world. But because we also have a lot of Pisces energy out there, a lot of it is illusion, but we don't know it. So these are times when you have to go within, stabilize yourself, come out of the sudden change, come out of anything that in your mind on the daily is aligned with your thought of this can't continue. I got to get out of here. I can't tolerate this anymore. This isn't good for me. Anything that you're saying something like that, got to go, because the universe is going to collapse it. I'm telling you, this is what's going to go on. We have to change now. We have to embrace this timeline and realize the timelines that we're done with, because this is a huge evolution push. This is going to feel in our life. Yes, it can be very anxiety provoking. I understand that. But it's also sudden clarity. It's also feeling grounded where you've never felt grounded before. It's like leaping off the cliff and realizing your feet just hit some beautiful, soft ground. We'll feel restless. Our nervous system is being activated in this. 2 weeks ago, I remember I could not even sit still. I just had so much nervous energy. So find things that allow you to comfort your desire to break free in a healthy way, right? Really go into the body. And what does my body need right now? What do I need in order to navigate this time? I know I'm in an acceleration of great change. The universe is pushing me to step into the future that I really, really want, the things that really, really matter to me. And you're going to find grand gestures for some and small things for others. And I'm going to just give you a real personal story here that is kind of silly, but aligns with the energy. I have these leather couches in my den in my home that I have had since 2003. And they were very, very expensive. They were beautiful. They're still nice, but the dog's been on them. There's claw marks on them and everything. And for years, I'm like, I got to redo the den. I redid other parts of my house. I'm like, I have to redo this room. It's like the black hole of the house. It has so much energy in it from 20 some odd years. And so many things that have happened on these sofas. If they could talk, I don't even want them to talk, because a lot of things. I mean, the one sofa is where I learned my marriage was over. I've had joy in that room also. So many holiday celebrations and celebrations of people who are now passed. It reminds me of my parents and all kinds of things. It's just a lifetime of energy in that room. And I know that it's time to release it. I know I have to just give this stuff away, get it out of there, put in new flooring, do everything, right? The room looks okay, but I don't want this energy in my life anymore. It's very heavy. It feels heavy because it's just from a different time. And like I said, there's been joy in that room. There's been celebration in that room. I did Reiki in that room for many, many years. I had beautiful circles in that room, life groups. Everything has happened in that room. Every energy you could possibly imagine has happened in that room. And it's time to get rid of these sofas and get rid of the energy. A new day for Georgia. And the energy just doesn't match the rest of the house anymore and the whole thing. And I was talking to my boyfriend about it this morning. I still have this attachment to these sofas. Like when they finally leave the house, I'm like, and I'm having this conversation with him. I was like, I don't want anybody else to have them. I don't want anybody to, I'm like, there's so much energy in these things, sounds crazy. I know, but it's the truth. So I said to them, listen, can we put them in your truck and literally take them to the dump? I think it would be very cathartic for me to just know that they're going to be burned and trashed and no one will ever sit on them again. This is such a huge part of my life for some reason. And of course he supports that. He's like, whatever you need. And I know I'm attached to it because part of me will always be in those things. In some ways that room sculpted a big part of my life. There was so much energy and so much beautiful interaction in that room and so much tragedy and so much grief. But it's not the couches. All that energy is in me, and I need to decipher what I'm bringing forward in my life, doing Reiki circles in a different environment, doing my healing work, my astrology, having beautiful celebrations and things like that. That energy is something that I create and I emote. So I just wanted to share that little part with you, because a lot of times from the show and feedback I get, people think like I'm talking about going out and completely changing your whole life and doing these grand gestures. And it can be something as simple as, I need to redecorate this room that I practically live in all my whole life. And I need to feel it really differently and be able to thrive in there and not feel heaviness. So again, anything where you say, I'm done with this. This can't continue. I need to change it now. You're done with the timeline, and I'm really trying to pull that energy of the beauty forward, of the lessons forward, and go into a time where now I'm excited about what the room's going to look like when it finally gets done. So that's the best use of this accelerated energy with the eclipse. It's also about what we're being initiated into. This isn't just a choice point. It's an initiation. It's about not feeling the old wound and also not feeling the old world, not getting sucked into old belief systems and anger and fear. We have a blank canvas ahead of us. What do you want to really paint on it? What are the things that you see in your life that can expand and grow and be part of that beautiful new canvas? And what are the things that you need to just say, you know what, I'm done with this. And it was beautiful when I had it. I really enjoyed it. I'll always remember it. But I feel detached enough from it that I can bring in something new in the space. And these are really necessary spaces that we need to create in our life. This is also about allowing Uranus, which some astrologists call the destroyer, to come into our life and disrupt things, and understand that it's not destroying or disrupting for the sake of chaos, even though we see that out in the world because people are buying into that. The real reason why things are being disrupted is because those things are blocking our evolution. And we want to expand love and expand compassion in the world. We've got to create a life that embodies that. And that's what this acceleration point is about. So higher intelligence, you're going to feel more intuitive than ever, especially with these Pisces things happening that I discussed in the first segment. And especially with on the 20th, Saturn and Neptune coming together. High intuition, breathing fire, giving life to your dream. That fantasy will now be separated from reality so that you can bring some of it into reality and see the clarity. Aquarius also, because it can be detaching, can help us step into the bigger picture, because like those couches, I'm going to be able to let go of them in this energy. And you want to have the energy of innovation and renovation, reinvention, really go into that. Stop going into, if you have been at all, I know we all get pulled in at times into that fear, that energy of, oh my God, what's going to happen? Let me turn this channel on. Let me turn this podcast on because I really I need the gloom and doom. I need to know in case something happens. Well, if your soul is aligned with the future and your soul is aligned with your own stability, you don't really need to know, because you already know. The soul already knows. So let your authenticity come through. This eclipse is going to strip away the masks. You're going to see a lot of people now for who they really are. You're going to really see that, and you're going to have compassion. You're not going to have fear or judgment or anger. You're just going to be like, oh, that's what that is. Well, it's time for me to move away from that. Or it's time for me to send love there. Or maybe I can help this person. It's not going to be this violent, judgmental energy if you can really go into the higher octave. But part of that also is, guys, when the masks get stripped off, so do our own masks get stripped off. And now it becomes, we can't pretend anymore. The relationship that isn't enough, the job that's stifling, the person that doesn't respect our boundaries, the places where we don't respect others, those are all going to come to a head. We can't continue in the energy anymore. So say yes to this new timeline. Uranus is going to bring us a lot of intuition, flashes of intuition. Like I said on the last broadcast, it's that lightning that flashes in the room so that we know where the furniture is in a blackout. And we're like, oh, wait, now I see. That lightning helped me. I shouldn't fear it, right? The awakening, the great awakening. This is about that lightning in the room. It speaks to us in flashes. Pay attention to those flashes, because that's where the idea of genius can drop out of nowhere. Just be really careful, because that Pisces energy can put us in the illusion like there's a great idea. Oh, wait, maybe it wasn't. Don't cling to the old structures. Just because something worked once doesn't mean something better isn't going to work better. So be really open to that because a lot of these structures are going to collapse. Don't be afraid to upgrade your environment. Aquarius rules technology. It rules networking. It rules systems. It rules, the uniqueness and embracing that in all of us. So don't be afraid to reorganize, to reinvent yourself, and support yourself in who you're becoming. Don't always look to others to do that. Do it for yourself. And then also, as far as connecting with your soul tribe and your groups and your people, you definitely want to do that, but you also want to make sure it's authentic, not tribes that are excluding other people. So a beautiful affirmation, and I'll put them on the social media for this February eclipse and new moon, is I release the past with clarity and courage. I align with my future self. This is about really finding that future self. Who is she or he? Who are they? What do they really look like? And trust the acceleration, the things that are going to start happening really quickly, the things that are going to start dropping off really quickly, the things that are going to appear. Just say, I'm ready for a timeline that matches my soul. I'm ready for a timeline that matches my alignment and what I really want to do. And again, it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Maybe you always wanted to be a mom and you don't have a partner, and now you're going to go out and do that. Maybe you wanted to be a photographer and now you're going to go do that. Maybe you just wanted to be promoted at the job you have, or specialize in a certain thing, or just change the way you parent, or change the way you relate to people and certain relationships in your life. Whatever it is, you have a blank canvas. If you're interested in where this is in your particular chart, book a reading with me. You can go on zenkuda.com. So how does the Pisces energy, that Venus and Pisces energy that we were talking about, and this new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius, how does it all align? Well, I'm going to leave you with this, guys. In evolutionary astrology, Aquarius represents the soul's liberation from conditioning, from the old stuff that doesn't work. And Pisces represents the soul's return to source. So what better energy to co-create with than the most powerful, highest energy we have, God, whatever you call God, whatever your higher power, the energy you believe created you. If you can link with that in order to liberate your soul and create the life you want, well, there's no better love than that. So that's what this next week is about. And the signs from the universe are going to show you exactly what that is for you. So I am Georgia Rose, your psychic astrologer. If you'd like a specific reading, just book me at zenkuda.com. And please, if this resonates with you and you think other people should hear it, share the show. We're really trying to get our community to be really big so that we can put love everywhere. Thanks so much. And I'll be back in the Soul Space Live, 7 o'clock on Monday nights. And if you want to replay the show, YouTube, Strong Island Television, or my own YouTube site, Zenkuda, or any podcast platform that you watch, just ask it to play The Soul Space with Georgia Rose. Good night.